So when it comes to data collection, right, you can view it from 2-3 ways. One is what kind of data are we collecting and from where are we getting that data, right? Some data we actually get it from internally. When I say internally, these are apps that we want, right? We actually get data from rider app, we actually get data from driver app where the driver is located and other stuff, right? So that is one set of data. We also get data from third-party sources, right? Where we get data from third-party sources who can give us information about weather conditions. We get data from third-party sources where they can give me information about traffic conditions, right? All those things are also very important, right? Now, it is easy to say that we get this data, but the volume of data is really, really huge, right? Just to give you some example, right? We get close to 1 million events per second just from the rider sessions to say, hey, what are the riders doing in our app? Because we do a lot of analytics on top of that, right? We actually create a funnel to figure out, hey, on which screen the user is, why did they drop off, at which part of the screen they are dropping off. Then can we make better CX on those screens so that people don't drop off, right? So we do a lot of analytics on that to drive conversion. And the second thing is, when you collect these level of data at such a large scale, right, it's actually very difficult to do it very close to real time. But in our case, we have to process and actually do it close to real time, because the weather conditions or the traffic or the marketplace conditions, when I say marketplace conditions, the supply of vehicles on the region that you are requesting for is very important, because that determines the pricing, that determines the matching, right? So we actually get this data, plus we have to figure out how closely we can get it mapped to real time and then action on that data. Now, there is a last aspect to that, is when you get these volumes of data, what is the validity of this data? How good is this data? Let's say if you see an anomaly on the data saying that, hey, this data was always supposed to be at a value 30 to 40, but suddenly it is going to 70 to 80, right? You should know that, hey, something is wrong in the data, right? So we actually do a lot of anomaly detection on the real-time data that we are getting both internally and externally, right? And it is extremely important because we are operating in 10,000 cities, 100 countries, right? When you get an anomaly data, right, it can affect any particular city or country, right? So it is very important to figure out how we can detect those anomalies at this large scale of data and then take actions. Once you know that the data is good, right, then you take some really good actions on top of that. Funnel drop is one good example that I gave you, right? The other thing is we actually do all this, we actually use all this data on our core things like matching, right? We actually figure out, hey, which will be the best driver that we can match you so that this trip can happen, right? We actually do use a lot of this data to determine our pricing. When you actually go to Uber app and you say, hey, I want to go from location A to B, you actually see a list of products, right? Hey, you can say take Uber Go, Uber X, Auto, Moto, and then you see a list of prices, right? The prices is very dynamic pricing, right? It depends on the supply, marketplace conditions, it depends on weather conditions, it depends on the traffic conditions, right? So we use all this data to determine what should be the price that is. So matching and pricing are very critical for Uber's business, because that determines whether the customer is going to actually accept the trip and actually have the trip converted, right? So we use all these things to ensure that we get the best experience for our customers. So there are a lot of places actually we can leverage AI to actually get best experience, right? The obvious use case where you hear from a lot of people is on the customer support, right? Hey, when customer support, when customers reach out to your customer support agents, can we use Gen AI to really understand what their query is and then respond to them, right? That is something that we can also do, and we are exploring this option. But it becomes very interesting when you want to support that in local languages, right? It's easy to do it in English. Now, hey, can you build models on all those local languages so that you can start responding to them and understand? And it also becomes very interesting because if you take our drivers, which are there in 10,000, most of our drivers actually talk in local language. They are not going to interact with us in English, right? So that problem itself is a very interesting problem, to just use Gen AI models to actually respond to queries, right? So that is one. We also use Gen AI for a lot of product recommendations, right? Today, if you just go to Uber, we have a bunch of products, right? We have Uber Auto, Moto, Uber X, Uber XL, Uber Premium, right? We have a slew of products, right? What should be the preferential product? There are different aspects that way, right? For, let's say if your destination is airport, right? At that time, you may not be price sensitive, but for you, getting a car is super important, right? Let's say if your destination is a mall, in that case you're okay to wait for like 10 more minutes, but you are going to be very price sensitive. So depending on these kind of things, we actually the order in which we show the product type for customers to select actually varies, right? So that is another potential area where we actually use GenAI to figure out how we can show what should be the ranking of the products so that it is easy for the customers to accept the product that we show at the top 3 thing above the 4, right? If you take our home screen, right? Home screen is another place where we have a bunch of services, right? We have Uber Reserve, where you can reserve a product. We have Uber Intercity, where you can come book, and you know if you want to go from Bombay to Pune, you can come book there. You have Uber Bus. So there is a bunch of products. What should the products that I should highlight, right? There again, we use a lot of GenAI to see how we can do the right product recommendation, so that we give the right product experience to the customers when they actually log into our guide. So this is just a beginning, right? I would say that these are all just the beginning things. There are a lot more things that we feel are potential use cases, and we'll definitely explore all these options and give the best experience to our customers. Oh, this is a very good forum for 2-3 reasons. One, of course, networking is a very key aspect. You get a chance to meet all the CIOs, right? Secondly, the most important thing is, even though the problems look similar, right, on different companies, the strategies that we have taken by different companies are also, it's not similar. Actually, I have seen different strategies adopted by different companies for valid reasons, right? That learning is a very important thing of saying, hey, why did they prioritize this solution versus that solution, right? So getting into the depth of detail and understanding how they are making decisions based on their use cases is also helping us on our thought process to say, maybe we should also explore some of those. That is good. And then the good part about ETCIO is they also have a lot of partners, right? So we got all the solution partners here, where you are exposed to a lot more new solutions by solution partners, right? And you get a chance to interact with them to understand their solutions in depth, right? And a potential opportunity for collaboration. Okay, that is also good. The last one is the ETCIO team itself, right? The way organized, right? The way they conduct these things and ensure that, all the parties are, well taken care in terms of interaction, collaboration, learning and networking. They do a great job on this. So I actually enjoy coming to this conference. A lot of learning, a lot of networking, and a lot of fun also.